You are listening to Wrestling Goons Radio, the podcast from the IWC for the IWC, and this is Wrestling Goons Radio Raw Reaction for September the 14th, 2015, the season premiere of Monday Night Raw. We want to quickly remind everyone to go to our Facebook page there, and you will see the Team Willpower event that we covered over the weekend. Lots of video and pictures coming along with, hopefully, the broadcast. Stay tuned for that. We want to thank Mark Grayson and the Special Olympics for having us and can't wait to do it again next year. On this episode of the Raw Reaction, we go into the Divas Championship match where Nikki Bella put her longest reign on the line against Charlotte. Did she come out on top? We'll find out. Also, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose apparently have a third partner for their six-man match at Night of Champions. Do we find out who that is? And lastly, Sting has his first ever match on Monday Night Raw. For this episode and more, you can get us at WrestlingGoonsRadio.blogspot.com. There you'll find all of our other social media links. And I want to introduce now Dan Tanner, Mark Pitts, and Brian Compton. They will be joining me, and today we're going to hop right into it. Monday Night Raw started with a video recap of Seth Rollins' journey to Night of Champions and pulling double duty, and all the things he's accoladed to get here. The show starts with the Authority. They mention their partnership with Connor the Crusher and Connor's crew. The middle rope is turned gold in honor of it, and they're also doing a $1 donation for changing your profile pics for your social media. You can definitely go check that out. It's worth a good cause. They mentioned that this is the season premiere of Monday Night Raw, as we mentioned before. You wouldn't know that unless you had the TV Guide channel, but it is what it is. Stars were made, but none are bigger than Seth Rollins, who is the man. Seth can cement his legacy forever Sunday, defending both titles. Stephanie mentions the Divas Revolution and Nikki's title match tonight. It's more history in the making as Sting will fight in his first ever match on Raw against the Big Show in the main event. Dan, and it's the season premiere of Raw and the go-home show or Night of Champions. What did it do for you in the opening segment? And welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thank you very much. It really didn't do too much of anything for me. The whole thing is Night of Champions hasn't really sold itself if you look at the card. The only thing I'm looking forward to is John Cena versus Seth Rollins and New Day. That's it. And they had, 3 weeks to try to sell us this? The only thing I can say about this segment was that Seth Rollins is the man. I don't care about the Divas Revolution anymore, but we will talk about that later.
I'm with you on that. I pretty much agree. Brian, your thoughts on how this thing's set up for you as far as getting us ready for Night of Champions?
Not a very well set up plan for Night of Champions. They have completely sold me on Seth Rollins, as Seth Rollins has already sold me on Seth Rollins, so don't really have to do much to do that anyway. I am looking forward to Sting versus Seth Rollins. That match in itself kind of sets itself up. It doesn't really have to have any kind of hype behind it because it's Sting and the greatest of all time as of right now, Seth Rollins, the man. Hasn't really sold me too much yet because I'm waiting on creative to mess it up a little bit, honestly, but I'm looking forward to where they go with it.
It seems like everybody's on board here calling Seth Rollins the man. I mean, I feel like that term is reserved for Ric Flair. That's just my opinion. Mark, how did it do for you getting us ready for Night of Champions?
It sold me on a couple matches. Really, the main focus for me right at the moment is definitely going to be that tag team title match. That right there kind of, in my mind, sold me on the pay-per-view itself already, so that's neither here nor there. Seth Rollins is going to have two great matches, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing the Nikki and Charlotte match just because I feel in my mind that they told a pretty cool story on Monday Night Raw, and they had a pretty decent match given Monday Night Raw, and it didn't give the fans what they wanted.
We have so much to get into, and that is definitely going to be a big topic of the show, so stay tuned for that. We all here at Wrestling Goons Radio make it no secret that we are New Day marks. I don't think Brian is, but the rest of us are. And that is also the McMahons appear to be as well, as Dan alluded to. They decided to get jiggy with it with the New Day in the ring before the match between the New Day and the Primetime Players. It was pretty much the typical match that you would expect from these two, right guys? Primetime Players, they got their stuff in early, but Xavier was hilarious on the outside as usual with his trombone. Kofi got his chihuahua bark in there making fun of Titus, which really had me going. The finish of this match, Titus ripped the trombone slide off, which caused a distraction, got him knocked out, and that got the big ending. The New Day hasn't beaten the Primetime Players. This has to mean the Primetime Players out of the tag team title picture for a while, right, Brian?
Definitely going to be out of the picture for a while. They're building momentum for the New Day, which they've already had already. Building the momentum with the feud between them and the Dudleys is going to be a great feud. It's going to be very entertaining. Almost as if Primetime Players can't keep up with the momentum that New Day has. And I heard what you said. And to add to that, I don't know many teams that can get away with interchanging their team members in between matches and still retaining their gold, even though the people that were legal weren't even the ones that were, finished the match. If you look on WWE.com, they're all three labeled as the tag team champions. So if you can explain to me how that's even possible, that would be outstanding.
I actually can. This happened in the 1980s with the Freebirds, and this is exactly what they used to do with Buddy Roberts, Terry Gordy, and Michael P.S. Hayes. This is the Freebird rule, and just hasn't been used in so long that it kind of feels like a new idea. Dan, what was your thoughts on this tag match, and does that let the Primetime Players out of the picture for now?
This match really made the Primetime Players look really weak. I mean, this whole match was set up to make the New Day to look really, really strong, which is okay because now I'm a New Day fan now. But I was like, why are they making them look really weak, the Primetime Players? Big E, Kofi Kingston, one of the best tag teams. I hate to admit it now. The mouthpiece, Xavier Woods, is just great at what he does. And like I said before, they're one of the only reason why I'm looking forward to the Night of Champions because of them. I get to see them and Dudley Boys go at it.
I mean, in a way, I'm kind of like upset to hear you say that because I spent so long trying to convert you. But in the other way, I'm really happy because you finally seen the light that the New Day does rock, and they're very entertaining. And by the way, if you haven't seen their WWE Network special Table for Three, go watch that. It is so freaking hilarious. Mark, there's no secret that you're one of the biggest New Day marks of all. But on to the Primetime Players. Where does this leave them in the tag team division?
Before I start with Primetime Players, I do have to say that New Day rocks of awesomeness, and to the fact that this is going to be one heck of a match at Night of Champions. But back to the Primetime Players, Titus O'Neil has shown such charisma as of late that it's not even funny. I hate to do this because I am a Florida State fan and everything. He's getting over with the fans. So it doesn't necessarily lead them into a bad spot on the card. I just think that the Dudley Boys coming back puts them up above them to go to what is the funniest thing in wrestling at the moment, the New Day. It doesn't really leave them in a bad spot. I think that they'll probably pull someone up from NXT. They'll give them a good match later on down the line.
That's Big Cass and Enzo.
No, it's not.
It got to be.
It's gonna be the Vaudevillains, but
Oh, no.
No.
But Cass and Enzo are not ever gonna be a tag. They've never really been the tag team champions in NXT.
That's okay.
Is it?
Yeah, for me.
They can be the first tag team to leave NXT without ever having to hold the NXT titles.
They are major over.
They could be just as entertaining as New Day.
That's neither here nor there. Dan, do you think that on Sunday at Night of Champions, the New Day will be beating the Dudley Boys?
That's a good question, and I really don't know, and I almost don't care because regardless of who wins, it's still a win, for me as a fan. I think this match should go all the way to maybe TLC, and we could see a real good match, and we probably might see the Dudley Boys win it there. So I see New Day winning at Night of Champions. Maybe this feud goes on until TLC pay-per-view where the Dudley Boys finally win. Because TLC is in December, right?
I think so, yes.
It could go both ways, but I think New Day could win it all the way up until TLC, and then that's when we'll see Dudley Boys win it and put somebody through a table.
Yeah, I think you're definitely on point with that. I don't think that it's done yet. And I think that the table is going to be the big teams. I think the Dudley can put everybody through a table but the New Day until TLC. Brian, do you think we're on point with this? And how do you think it's going to go Sunday?
Well, I hate to be the one to sound sour, because I do feel the power. But the Dudley Boys, I feel like it's easy to make them look strong when there's 3 of them against 2 at all times. It's going to take 3 people to beat the Dudley Boys. I'm sorry, but somebody's going to have to go through some tables. And I agree with Tanner. New Day should retain their titles. The reason being, it would serve the primetime players more to have a feud with the Dudley Boys for the #1 contendership than it would for New Day to win or lose. They have such a momentum that it would serve better for the tag team division for the spotlight to be put on teams to compete for the title, not teams to competing to get the titles.
True, true. Mark, any final thoughts before we move on to the next segment?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they have actually been doing that because what was it? The winner of some match got a chance to play or to compete against the primetime players, and then they lost. And then the Dudleys got whomever was the winner of this championship match that we actually had. So, I mean, I do think that primetime players should go down. I think that in WWE's mind, this was a chance for whomever the champion was to get a push. So that's why they put this as a championship match right before Night of Champions. They're going to have 2 tag team title matches this close. I actually think that the Hardys will be back by December in order for this TLC match to truly go down. Maybe we actually see a more aggressive side of New Day. I think that that's how that they defeat the Dudley Boys the first time at Night of Champions.
Well, I mean, if they're doing a TLC ladder match, Kofi Kingston, let's not forget what he does in ladder matches. So that's right up his alley. They can definitely pull that off and have that third outside factor with Xavier. I would love it. I'm all for it. As far as the Hardys being back, another time, another
Come
show, another
on.
time.
Come on. The
No,
Hardy.
why?
Come on.
Come on.
For nostalgic reasons. Come on.
Nostalgia?
Yeah.
First off, Jeff Hardy can't even leave the United States.
It's okay. He can stay behind during the whole European tour.
Okay, as long as Matt Hardy never takes his shirt off, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Matt Hardy won't wear it. He doesn't do that now, so that's not gonna happen.
I mean, if only we can get Edge and Christian involved, but we already know that, Edge can't wrestle and Christian, he has one too many concussion here and there.
I mean, if the Hardys come back, they might as well bring back Demolition.
Well, they already have Demolition. It's called the Ascension.
The Ascension is like 5 tag team mixed into one.
We can go on this all night, but we're gonna go ahead and have to move on, guys. We get a backstage segment after this with Seth and the Authority. How many times have we seen this before? He tells them that the New Day does rock after they get done watching the New Day segment. We all agree they do. He says the main event is a genius idea with Sting at the big show, and he says he will take out the trash on Sunday, kind of like Sting took out his statue last week. But then he wonders, what about Sheamus and what about Cena? Triple H tells him he just answered his own question. Tonight, Sheamus and John Cena are going to go one-on-one. Seth looks very, very happy about this. Guys, any thoughts on this segment at all? We get Sheamus and Cena. Woohoo. Dan?
Didn't care too much about it. At least it wasn't Sheamus versus Randy Orton.
Can't disagree with that. Anybody else got anything they want to add?
Respect the Hawk.
Next we have Renee interviewing Charlotte. We're getting ready for that big match tonight. Charlotte said they're title match with Nikki Bella, and she got Ric Flair by her side. She said being the Divas champion has been her dream since she stepped in the ring, and she wants to reach heights like her father did. Flair puts the Divas over, saying they all bust their butts to put on world-class matches, and tonight Nikki and Charlotte are going to rock the house. Charlotte blatantly ignored most of Renee's questions about how she's going to prepare for the match. She just kept going on and on about the Divas Revolution as more like an evolution, and watching the Bellas Empire crumble is going to be a beautiful thing. Woo! Mark, was Ric Flair wasted?
I think this is the cheesiest type of way to try to get someone over, in my entire opinion. I know your namesake and everything. Your dad doesn't have to show up. Granted, your dad probably wants to show up just so he can put his name in the spotlight. Sorry, Anthony. I know that's a sour little taste. But please just let her get over by herself. She would be so much better at it if she probably didn't have the pressure of trying to uphold to her dad's name while he's standing right behind her.
I don't think the WWE Universe is going to let her not be a Flair, so I think the WWE has to go that direction marketing it. But, Mark, one more time, was he wasted?
Well, yes.
Alright, so, Dan, do you think Ric Flair was wasted, and was this a necessary part of the promo?
I don't know. You guys keep on saying that he's wasted. I just see Ric Flair being Ric Flair. So maybe a drunk Ric Flair is his regular self. I don't know.
No, that's true. That's what it is.
But the segment itself was cool. I mean, we expect this. It's Charlotte. She's a daughter of Ric Flair. If she was a guy, it would be no different. It's kind of hard to put herself over without associating herself with her father, which is okay. It's okay. It's great. I wish they could use Ric Flair more, but they use him whenever they can or they feel the need to use him. I'm okay with this particular segment.
Yeah, I didn't really have that much of a problem with it. Brian is here.
I don't have a problem with it. It's interesting seeing Ric Flair at any time. And yes, he was wasted, as he is always wasted. That's Ric Flair. It's no different than Dusty Rhodes being in the picture with Dustin, and I'm just going to refer to him as Stardust because Cody Rhodes doesn't exist anymore.
Amen.
I enjoy watching him. I don't feel like he should be involved in getting her over because they have the unfortunate potential and turning her into a Roman Reigns, more so than Roman Reigns was even Roman Reigns. And that's just detrimental to her character already.
I think a lot of what her development is going to go to is what we're about to lean into in this next match with Paige and Sasha, because it feels like Sasha is the girl that people want. Paige has done a good job of making Sasha look really good, too. This match was a very physical match. Paige was strong early, doing a lot of aggressive hair throws and bullying Sasha around. It almost felt like Paige was working as the bad guy. Sasha eventually took advantage of Paige's aggression, and she was able to work on the arm. She really worked that arm methodically for the rest of the match. Eventually, Paige gets back on the offense and Sasha's on the outside. Paige goes for a dive off the apron, and Tamina moves Sasha out of the way. That allowed Sasha to roll Paige back in and hit the backbreaker and rolled it into the bank statement. Paige tapped out. After the match, the numbers game of 3-on-2 outnumbers PCB because Charlotte was getting ready for a match. Team Bad takes advantage and cleans the ring after a few kicks. Does this feud sound like it needs a title to carry itself, or is it fine by itself? I'll start with Mark.
No, sir, it does not need a title. And later on, I will get into my whole spiel about the internet wrestling community and everything in a little bit. But for right now, we'll just stay on topic. When have you ever had two feuds in a Divas division, one being for a title and one not being for a title, and you were invested in both storylines? So all you people that keep saying the Divas Revolution is dead, please respond with something.
And I will go with Dan because I think you're on that track. Dan, do you think that the team thing is finally starting to play itself out into singles matches?
Of course it is, because it's like, what's the payoff in all of this? You bring these girls up here, or sorry, these women up here, and you bunch them up with a bunch of teams that really never had a chance of winning the Divas title, like Naomi, Tamina, or whoever. So it's like you pretty much are hindering the women that you bring up. In that particular match between Sasha and Paige, that was a great match, I thought. The beginning of it kind of started off like, okay, you guys are doing the whole typical girl thing with the pulling the hair, but that finish was pretty cool. When she hit the bank statement, Sasha is the only person, to me, in my opinion, that I feel like is talented enough that deserves the title shot. And they pretty much are not doing anything with her, or Becky Lynch, really. So I guess their whole focus is going to be Charlotte. She's going to be that star, which we pretty much already know. I just don't like the whole revolution right now because it doesn't really put anyone out there as their own individual. They're just like, hey, you're this person, this group, and that's all we know you for. They don't have no real identity to me. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'll let you respond to that. I got Mark wants to retaliate in a minute. I'll go to Brian first. Brian, what does it do for you?
I'm going to disagree completely, actually, with Dan, because we're at the day and age now where a lot of the stars that develop in the WWE or any other, brand come from stables. So it really, I think it serves them well to be in a stable, although the storyline at the beginning didn't seem to make much sense. The WWE Universe is getting all of these different women's characters and personalities all at once, rather than splitting it up and possibly losing people's attention, or maybe one person gets more TV time or attention than others, so they fall to the wayside, like the mid card at the men's roster. I feel like we're getting to see all of them at once. We can pick who we like and who we don't. So when the teams do disperse, we'll see who rises to the top and who people really want to see. So I think it will help expand the women's division.
I mean, for me, I already know who I like and don't like, really. So I'm ready for everyone to be split up right now.
But at the same time, you aren't the whole entire WWE universe. They have to tell stories in a way that are going to be long term. So when they bring up Paige and Sasha and Becky and all these women from NXT, we may know them because we watch them wrestle. These other people don't know them, so they have to bring them in, not only with their wrestling ability, but some kind of personality to follow behind. And yeah, while they don't have one developed on camera yet, they still have that friendship thing that they can break off of. Because now, as we see, like in this match, with Paige starting to work heel, eventually there's going to be Paige turning on her PC friends. I don't know when that'll be, but it's going to happen. And eventually Sasha's going to realize that she's the only real PCB that carrying the team. I get the point of why they're doing this, but at the same time, and while Brian said that stables do work, I also remember when Vince Russo had this idea with WCW. We had the Millionaire Club, we had like the 8 factions of the NWO. It was awful. The No Limit Soldiers. It was terrible. It was a great concept, but it didn't work. So I could also see it going that way. Also, though, to the fact, as we said in the beginning, it's been so long since we had 2 Diva feuds, period. As in never. It's never happened. So something is right. They got something right with this. Mark, I'll let you do your final thoughts.
Back to Dan's point about how he thinks that Sasha is being left out. Before the Divas Revolution and those 3 women came up, who deserved to be the title holder after AJ Lee left? That would be Paige, correct? So if it wasn't for all you people and who you say that Nikki doesn't deserve the title, to be honest, the best wrestler didn't have the title. But she's now trying to put over Sasha Banks. So Sasha's in a better spot, in my opinion, than even Charlotte is going after the title. Yeah, the majority of the WWE universe cares about the title, and once Charlotte gets it, she'll be the quote-unquote star. But the people who actually learn wrestling and love that is where the Sasha Paige feud is going to be the best feud in women's wrestling.
Here's a question. I'm sorry, but here's my question for everyone for the most part. But you, Mark, do you feel like the story has been told well with this whole Divas Revolution, like for real, like from the beginning to the end right now, or where we at right now?
Absolutely not.
We're not at the end.
Tell me where the beginning was.
The beginning was whenever they put the teams together.
That was the beginning? Are you sure?
It could go further than that.
I mean, technically, the Revolution can go further than that. The Revolution can go all the way back to the AJ and the Chuck Taylors.
I mean, they overexposed this whole team thing. It's like,
not really, because they are actually developing a character in Sasha Banks. Like, do you not see the whole them versus New Day thing in the kicks, or all of these promos that they do behind the scenes type thing? They're actually coming out, and I think that Sasha Banks being with them too actually does more for their credibility than having Charlotte and Becky be on quote-unquote Paige's team, because she was the established. Sasha Banks is pretty much controlling that group.
All right, let's save the rest of this debate when we get to the title match, because I think we're going to be talking about this topic a lot more. I want to go ahead and move on next to Miss TV. She had some special guests this week. She comes out and promotes the season premiere of Raw like everybody else does, and Miss TV. She always gets the best celebrities, he says, but tonight he's pulled out all the stops. Out comes the Wyatt family, their traditional entrance in the dark lighting. Miz makes a comment about that lighting and tells him to sit down. Strowman and Hartford throw the chairs out of the ring and they stand behind a sitting Bray Wyatt. She tells Miz don't sit because he is not safe here. Miz assures Bray he isn't the third man for Reigns and Ambrose, like we all thought he was. At Hell in a Cell, by the way, thanks a lot, Miz, you're probably going to get fined for that one. Miz then asks who Braun Strowman is. Wyatt says, well, he's standing right there, why don't you ask him yourself? Miz does, and Strowman takes off his mask, and apparently that was his answer of who he is, because Bray says, is this what you wanted? This what you wanted, putting yourself in harm's way, trying to get the big scoop? Just like everyone else, they don't think of consequences. They just want and want and want. Miz cuts him off and asks Bray what he wants. Bray wants Miz to suffer, along with Reigns, Ambrose, and everybody else to pay for their sins, like Orton and Uso did. Whoever shows up, they will fall down. That is when the Shield showed up. They quickly throw Miz out of the ring. They stand in front of the Wyatts. Reigns tells Bray he's not the man and he couldn't beat them without monsters to do his dirty work. He says they have a third man Sunday. The numbers gave me even. Believe that. Brian, did this promo get you ready for the six-man match? And who in the heck do you think the third man is?
It doesn't get me ready for the match itself. The promo I thought was great. The way that the mind games play out with Bray, I think is clever. Normally what would happen with Bray mentioning that The Miz has been put in harm's way and danger by asking for this interview, it would be known normally that they would attack The Miz. And what actually played out was when Roman and Dean came out, because The Miz is so damn annoying, that it ended up being the good guys that knock out The Miz. So once again, Bray didn't have to do anything to cause somebody harm, which is why I'm kind of getting behind where they're going with Braun, because he is the bronze. You know, he's not the brightest guy in the world, but he is the dirty deeds. He's going, no pun intended. He's going to be the guy who does all the dirty work for Bray, which makes Bray seem more of a mastermind than he is necessarily the new face of fear. The only downfall to all of this is that the lackluster get surprise member is going to be Rowan. And I know that because that's creative and that's where they usually go. But I think it's going to have a better impact than people are probably thinking it's going to be.
I think you're wrong, actually, and I will get into that on my last prediction. I have a problem with the part where he said to ask Braun Strowman who you are. When he takes off the mask, like I've seen that 1,000 times, so that doesn't answer anything. The Miz being here was pointless. He didn't need to be in this promo. Dan, do you agree?
Yes and no, because The Miz is just an annoying talk show host wannabe. The whole segment itself didn't do much for me, really, because you already know how I feel about the whole Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family storyline ever since, last year. The only thing that keeps me invested about this match or this storyline right now is trying to figure out who's that third member that's going to help out Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. I don't think it's going to be Roman, because I just read not too long ago that they said that he's not even ready to come back yet. So it's a big surprise right now.
Mark, do you want to tell everybody who it is, or should I?
Yeah, you can go ahead, sir.
It's The Rock, guys. The Rock is going to be the third man. Why would it be anybody else? If it was anybody else, they would have told us on Monday night.
Yeah, no, I don't like what you're cooking, sir.
I don't mind that. I don't mind The Rock coming, because the only thing I have an issue with is The Rock showing up at some B-card pay-per-view, and also he's going to die in the middle of the ring, because if Braun Strowman gets his hand around him, then we're going to see a celebrity actor dying in the middle of the ring. It's going to be all over the news.
That's going to be my problem, is if The Rock is in this match and they have him look wrong against Braun Strowman after I've seen Braun Strowman throw Roman Reigns around like a sack of potatoes, I don't think that helps Roman any. It makes Roman look weaker if The Rock can hop right back in and take care of work. So if that's their plan, is to use The Rock to get Roman over, I don't think it's a good idea.
I better not see a rock bottom from Braun Strowman. If I see that and he actually hits it and he covers Braun Strowman for a pin, I'm done with the Wyatt. I'm done with creative. I'm done with everyone.
First off, he's not going to rock bottom and he'll just fall backwards and The Rock will have him in that motion. That'll be all it is.
No, he's going to go for a rock bottom, and Braun Strowman's going to capture him and put him to sleep. Dan's right, The Rock's going to die, but it will be the biggest thing for not only the Wyatt family, but for Braun Strowman ever. Braun Strowman was the best thing that ever happened to Bray Wyatt, and I love Luke Harper.
And they're going to bury him if The Rock ends up doing all of that.
I want us to go back and remember when we were connecting the dots way back when this story didn't make sense last pay-per-view, and they kept focusing on the family element. Could this be a part where The Rock, being the family member, comes back to help his blood, and Roman maybe throws in the towel knowing he can't hang with Braun Strowman and leaves The Rock hanging out to dry? Could that be a direction they're going with this? And I'll start with Brian.
If they want to salvage Roman Reigns' career, then yes, that's probably the route they need to go because he's awful as a face. Sorry, I like the guy, but he's awful as a face. I can't stand his character. And to really get a shocking end to the match, that's something I could get behind, is him turning on his own blood. But at the same time, you just got him saying that you hurt my cousin, you're going to have to pay for that. So to me, it wouldn't make sense that you're going to be so upset over him doing this to Jimmy that you're going to turn your back on The Rock. So I don't see that happening.
I think that would build him up even more, and if he looks like he's gonna go save the day, and then he acts like the coward, it gets him even more heat that way. That's just my thought on it. Bart, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think that could be a possibility, but I'm just looking forward to seeing Braun Strowman destroy an entire team by himself. That's honestly what I'm looking forward to the most. Even if it is The Rock, Braun Strowman's just going to destroy the other team.
I was going to say, either way, somebody's going to look weak. Somebody's going to look strong. If The Rock does come out, I hope it's not him. But if it is him, you're either going to have him make the Wyatts look really weak, or the Wyatts are going to make Roman and The Rock look really weak. So somebody's going to get hurt by this.
I don't think nobody's gonna get hurt, because that's why I don't think you can have a clean finish. Like, why if you're gonna do a turn now, this is where it needs to happen, because I don't think anybody can benefit from a clean finish in this match. If the Wyatts lose, then you're like, what the crap? You just built up Braun Strowman to do this thing to be his dirty work, and he loses in match number 1. If you bring in The Rock and he loses right away, then you're like, well, okay, we just wasted that Hollywood element on a guy that lost to this newcomer. It doesn't make sense unless you have that added story element behind it. We've already ruled out Rowan, as Dan said he may not be active, even though I agree with Brian, the white sheep versus the black sheep would be a good element for it. As far as that, though, I don't see where the story of the family would come involved unless there was a turn. Bart, you had one more thing you wanted to add?
Yes, sir. So your finish to that is The Rock looks really weak, and Roman is like, whoa, whoa. I mean, maybe we just need someone else. Enter in the Beast Incarnate, who goes toe-to-toe with Braun Strowman, i.e. looking him make very strong. The Rock gets pissed off, comes back to the WWE, Rock vs. Brock, WrestleMania 32.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with that one. If Roman's going to turn on The Rock, the only way that would make sense to me to see it happen is if The Rock tries to steal the spotlight and come out and save his little cousin, and Roman gets upset over it, like, you're still in my shot, I could do this on my own, and then they get into it, and Dean is the one who suffers at the hand because they're too busy fighting with each other, and Dean just gets mauled by Braun.
Maybe a couple of blind tags or something like that.
It's going to be a Paul Heyman faction. Roman Reigns already dug it in.
But what if it's like The Rock who ends up taking the heel turn in this whole situation?
I don't see how that benefits, because like Brian said, the crowd is already like split on Roman Reigns. They don't know which way to go. Everybody loves The Rock, so turning The Rock wouldn't make much sense. But turning Roman now, if he's already balancing, I think that's what you have to do. What I would be worried about if I was anybody in this feud, Dean Ambrose is going to be a really sad man when he ain't got Roman Reigns' storyline anymore, because they don't have anything for Dean Ambrose. That's what I'm worried about right now, is where they do with Dean after all this. We'll be getting into that on our pre-show, which will be coming up. Stay tuned for that later in the week. We're going to move on now to John Cena and Sheamus, which was the match that they added earlier in the night. It's a prime example of why I hate matches that have no psychology. This match had none. It was a spot fest of back and forth of everybody reversing everybody's stuff, awful, and ending with Sheamus doing a rolling senton that Cena completely no-sold, put it into an AA. Brian, were you entertained at all? I think you said earlier in the show this match shouldn't have happened at all.
I'm entertained by Sheamus. I know people don't feel the same way as I do, but I get entertained by Sheamus. I respect the Hawk. I think that his new appearance and his new attitude is great for him because him, like Roman, he sucks as a face. But the match should have never happened. Honestly, just feel like it's going to lead to a feud between them when, unfortunately, one of them wins World Heavyweight title.
It felt to me like a lot of this was Super Cena from 2012, where it's the typical match where he's getting beat up for a while, and then all of a sudden he feels no pain, a la Hulk Hogan, Or we get there. Dan, you think I'm right about that assessment?
Yeah, because he's this generation Hulk Hogan. Pretty much when you're going against John Cena, it's going to be a spot fest. But this match itself just sucked. But I do like Sheamus as a heel. I love his character. I don't know why people just hate him so much. I enjoy him. The way that how people love the heat that Nikki Bella is getting, they should love the heat Sheamus is getting too as well.
Mark, thoughts on this?
Since I do love the heat that Nikki Bella getting, I do have to admit I do love Sheamus as well. I've always said it, the best Sheamus is heel Sheamus, and he proved again why he is the best at being a heel. But on to the John Cena thing. Dan, you're hating on the CM Punk John Cena match and a Daniel Bryan Cena match and a Dolph Ziggler Cena match, Sami Zayn John Cena match, and all these matches he had as the United States champion, and said that he can't wrestle, it's always a spot fest. No, in this scenario, I think it's Sheamus' fault. Him and Randy Orton and him and John Cena have the same type of matches for some strange reason, and I don't know if it's ego or pull behind backstage, but apparently everyone wants to get their spots in.
They don't have good chemistry, is it? And I agree with what Mark said. There's some nights where Cena is on it, and when I say psychology and spot fest, folks, I'm not talking, well, go down and lock a headlock and make sure you're working a body part. Like, all that stuff matters, but you can't just go from one big move into the next big move. It doesn't make sense to do it. And we get that a lot with a Sheamus Cena match, or a Cena Orton match, or an Orton Sheamus match. Those three are like the Bermuda Triangle of bad wrestling.
I just want to say, Mark, that the best match that John Cena ever had in his whole entire career was against CM Punk. That's all I want to say.
It was actually Kevin Owens, but that's another story for another time. Come on.
Well, that's just because he was in the match with CM Punk. That doesn't mean that Cena was good. That just means he had somebody that challenged him in the match. With Sheamus and Orton and anybody else he wrestles where he has terrible matches, that's why. Like you said, if they don't have good chemistry, if you don't have anybody that's going to challenge you in the ring, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a B-plus match.
All right, well, to that point, when you say that CM Punk was the reason for it, it takes somebody that has decent quality to match it, or else you're only going to get that B-plus. So if it was an A-plus match, that means Cena had to deliver on his part as well.
Exactly. It was mostly Punk.
I don't see how you can say that.
Okay, look at the match with him at Extreme Rules with Brock Lesnar. The only reason that match was good was because Cena was actually selling the moves and selling the hits. Probably because half the time they were real. And that's why the match was good. You're not going to have Cena go up against Brock Lesnar and no sell, because you're going to make Brock Lesnar.
They did it the second time. That's exactly what they did the second time.
And how well did that work out?
I mean, it wasn't good, but Cena came out looking a lot stronger.
Cena can stop working out for 2 years straight and still look strong because he's super Cena.
I agree.
Mark, you got anything you want to add?
Just the hate that portrays out of mouths. Like, you could really hate on this man. This man not only works 24/7, he also brings it in the ring night after night after night, putting his title on the line night after night after night. What? And he's delivering, like, the match of the night throughout the U.S. Open Challenge. So, you can hate on the man all you want to. He's been around quite a long time, and he's still getting better.
So, Mark, would you say that someone who doesn't defend their title all the time, they're not a very good champion?
No, sir, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that he goes above and beyond. Because Seth Rollins only defends his title once a month as well.
Let's call a spade here. The title is just a problem. It doesn't matter. We're talking about match quality. The title means nothing. It's just a prop, and the WWE treats it that way. These infatuations with we don't have enough title matches and these titles aren't on the line enough. You can blame the WWE for that, because we have a lack of titles. So when there's a lack of titles, and you have all this high-priced talent that is under part-time contract, you're not going to get a lot of title matches. So you can't really hold that to like the old 1990 standard of you got to win this title at least twice a month, or else you're not a real champion. It doesn't work that way anymore. That's my opinion.
What's this?
But that's what John Cena did, though.
What's this prop?
He made that title.
What do you mean what's this prop I speak of? That's all. That title is nothing but a prop.
You're breaking kayfabe.
I understand. Sorry for the wrestling fans out there that don't understand, but that title is nothing but to advance storylines. And right now, they got a big clusterfuck with Seth Rollins in two of them. But it's just a prop. It's just to advance the story. So I don't understand why it matters so much if you're to defend that title enough and you're a fighting champion. Because I'll tell you right now, Brock Lesnar only defended his title about 3 or 4 times. But he was a legit badass that I firmly believe was a heavyweight champion. I would not believe anybody could take that off of him.
And I was against that too.
I wasn't. I thought it was great. And it worked out well for Mania because Brock Lesnar wasn't the best guy that made him at WrestleMania this year.
True.
We'll just see how that goes. We're going to go ahead and move on now. We go to Ryback, the big guy. I don't know what it is with everybody dancing this week, but Ryback decided he wanted to get jiggy with it too. That was really weird. He then said he wants to be serious for a moment, channeling his Lance Storm. He mentioned Kevin Owens costing him a match. A true warrior doesn't attack a warrior from behind. That I brought out Kevin Owens. He has a book in his hand that he says Ryback used to get better called The Secret. It helped Ryback out emotionally when he was down in a bad place in his life. Owen mocks it and calls it garbage, along with anybody else who buys that crap. He says he doesn't blame Ryback for ruining it, but he blames Ryback for being a weak man in general. He says appearances mean nothing, and Ryback can look big and strong all day, but inside he's nothing but a scared little boy. It's a travesty that somebody like Ryback is Intercontinental Champion. Ryback retaliates by saying Owens is delusional. Ryback then goes on a weird rant that didn't make any sense about who he is, about how he constantly gets knocked down and gets fed me more. It made no sense at all. He then says Owens is an inspirational story himself, coming from the endings to get here. And Ryback admitted that he was handed an easy road to the WWE, but he lost it and had to go to the bottom and start over. He didn't give up. He stands here today not a weak man, but the Intercontinental Champion. Owens says for now, and Ryback says they are fighting Sunday for the Intercontinental title. Mark, is this the end of Ryback's Intercontinental title reign?
Just to throw this out there, that promo was awkward. It was like Ryback had a man crush on Kevin Owens or something. Like, I'm not sure who wrote that, but we might need to have Vince talk to them. Other than that, at least Ryback's showing some kind of charisma. I do believe that Kevin Owens should definitely take that belt from Ryback at Night of Champions.
Dan, do you agree?
I don't think he's going to lose it. However, I do think that promo was weird. And I'm starting to feel like that Ryback is becoming Ultimate Warrior 2.0 for some reason. Because everyone likes him, though, but he doesn't make sense during promos at all.
That's a very good comparison, Dan. I really feel the same way. I feel like he's exactly like the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes, and the feud between him and Kevin Owens doesn't really make sense to me. The only way that I see that it makes sense, this whole feud, is because you want to put the strap on Kevin Owens for whatever reason. I don't think he's ready right now, necessarily.
What?
I don't think he's ready for it right now. Maybe he should have been ready when he went up against John Cena, but against Ryback, I don't see it.
He just destroyed Cesaro.
He shouldn't have, really. Actually, they should have continued that feud because it's like now you have nothing for Cesaro as of now.
He looked strong again this week against Rusev.
Yeah, but you don't have no storyline, really. It's not Cesaro and Rusev's story. It's Dolph Ziggler and Rusev. He just happened to compete, but you have nothing meaningful. It's like how you said once Roman Reigns turns heel over, it's pretty much that Dean Ambrose out on his own. It's like Cesaro's out on his own again, and he's like super over.
Brian, do you agree?
Cesaro is stuck in limbo right now, and it's not his fault, but he's a victim of Tyson getting injured because him and Tyson as a tag team were very over, and I could see them in the tag team division right now, but unfortunately that's not the issue. Same for Ryback. Ryback was never intended to be the Intercontinental Championship holder. So they're looking for someone to take it from him, and the perfect person to take it from Ryback is Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens doesn't need it, but I don't think certain people may have seen Kevin Owens as ready to take the U.S. strap from John Cena, but this will help his momentum increase. I honestly think that Ryback's going to get the crap beat out of him come Night of Champions, and it's going to be ugly. And as far as the book, it maybe should have been 50 Shades of Grey that he brought out.
Actually, that Secrets, I never read the book. I did see the DVD, a little bit of it, and it's crap.
Well, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I agree. I think we all agree on that. All of us are like, well, that's a little bit much.
Even if Kevin Owens doesn't win at Night of Champions, is everyone okay that the fact that Ryback is still the Intercontinental Champion?
Absolutely.
I'm fine with Ryback being the champion. I don't think he's winning, but I'm fine with him as the champion. I don't have a problem with it. And I agree with what you said. He's really getting over with the crowd. I don't know how or why, but they like Ryback. I like Ryback. I catch myself not knowing why I like Ryback, but I do.
I think the crowds just kind of were like, he's not going away, so if you can't beat him, join him. You might as well just cheer for the guy.
Well, maybe we don't really feel sorry for this guy. Like, this guy really did hit rock bottom. He had everything going for him. He didn't have anything. It's a good story to relate to. But at the same time, you can't look at Kevin Owens' story and not think the same thing. This man has been told his whole life because of the way he looks that he's not going to be able to be that talent. He's finally here after 15 years. It's a heck of a story. So I think Dan's way off base by saying he's not ready. I think he's taken 15 years to get ready for this moment. Mark, any final thoughts?
Yes, they are setting up what will be one of the best Intercontinental title matches to ever happen at WrestleMania 32. And because of Kevin Owens taking this title from Ryback, Cesaro doesn't get stuck out in limbo. His beef with Kevin Owens isn't over yet. He will insert himself into the Intercontinental title picture. And then as that feud progresses, we will see a returning Sami Zayn, who will then insert himself into that title picture simply because.
You gotta think, Owens had like 4 different feuds that he was angry with people with. We're gonna eventually have like Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Sami Zayn. Everybody that Kevin Owens has ever pissed off can come after him for the Intercontinental title. And if they doing that, sign me up.
I'm okay with that, but what do you do with Daniel Bryan when he comes back, or if he's ready to come back? You got to insert him back into the Intercontinental title picture.
Why would he not be able to fight all the Ring of Honor guys? He's done it his whole life.
I mean, that's true though, but you mentioned like a whole lot of a list of guys that are great that can feud with Kevin Owens if he decides to, if they decide to let him win this upcoming pay-per-view. But somewhere you got to fit in Daniel Bryan. I think he's going to get lost in the mix somewhere.
I don't think anybody in that mix is going to get lost. They're all going to have a name for themselves at some point.
Not only that, though, what was Daniel Bryan in this past WrestleMania? A ladder match with a whole bunch of people. Insert a Ring of Honor ladder match with a whole bunch of people for the Intercontinental title? Sign me up. I will drive to Dallas.
The only thing he's got to do now is piss off Daniel Bryan, and he's made everybody mad in that match.
Oh, you got make a good point there.
I personally would love to see Daniel Bryan versus Samoa Joe. Seeing them two kick the hell out of each other would just be like the best thing ever.
He's going to kill him just like he killed Tyson Kidd.
Go back and watch it on Ring of Honor television. They have some good throwback stuff, and it's good stuff. And by the way, before we move on from Cesaro, I want to go ahead and add with Bryan saying that they were most over with Tyson Kidd. That's true. But I also feel like Tyson being injured might be one of the best things to happen to Cesaro's career because it gave him the opportunity to wrestle these single matches where he got to go up against Cena and he got to face Owens and he got to fight Rusev. It's really done a lot for Cesaro's career that he hasn't been relegated to only in the tag team division. We're going to move on now to the 6-man tag match that we thought we were going to get between Lucha Dragons and Neville versus the Cosmic Wastelands. Neville and the Dragons hit the ring and attack, outdoing the Ascension. Neville tosses Stardust outside, tries a suicide dive, and the Ascension moves Stardust out of the way. We get no match at all. Dan, are they going to do anything with this feud at all?
No, because it's WWE, and sometimes they don't know what they're doing when they have something good going, like the Ascension pairing up with Stardust, which I'm okay with. Again, I'm okay.
Wait, so this is the second gimmick that you hated that I love that now you like.
No, I'm extending my, I don't know what it is, but doing their whole SummerSlam thing, I was like, I allow this whole Stardust thing to, warm up to me and everything. Now that they put the Ascension with him, I'm okay with that. It gives them something.
Stardust is amazing by himself. He does not need the Ascension. The Ascension needs Stardust.
However, Cody Rhodes doesn't need the Ascension.
Cody Rhodes doesn't exist anymore, sir.
Cody Rhodes is somewhere held prisoner inside Stardust.
Yeah, he's in there for life. He's not getting out ever. No parole.
Yeah, he's on death row.
Bart, what does this segment do for you? Are they going to do anything with this 6-man?
Well, yeah, they're having the pre-show for Night of Champions. That's what they're doing. That was this point in time probably that someone wanted more time, and so they're like, well, we're also giving you a match on Sunday. Do you mind just skipping the match and doing a spot? And they were like, yeah, sure, we get a payday even though we just have a few spots. Cool, thanks, appreciate it, bye. But I am definitely getting behind Stardust and the Ascension just because it does boost up the Ascension's level. And I think a lot of superstars that were kind of veteran on the roster, quote unquote, the older type gentlemen, are really actually helping these NXT guys become true stars in the making.
Slowly but surely, guys, we're getting to a lot more 3 teams in WWE. I'm counting to 5 right now.
Could y'all imagine if the Dudley Boys and Primetime Players started feuding? Say the New Day dropped the belts. That would have the New Day possibly feuding with Stardust and the Ascension. Could y'all imagine Xavier Woods outside with Stardust while the other teams, other 4 men are competing? How insane their interactions would be outside the ring.
It's gonna be great, man. I'm telling you, I have a feeling we're going to a lot more 3 teams here.
I don't think it'll last.
You know,
Nope.
You don't think the New Day will last? Or
No. I don't think the whole Cosmic Wasteland thing might last because if they lose this upcoming pay-per-view, then he's going to probably on the following night at Monday Night Raw attack them or something. And that's just a wasted thing that they could have had.
I feel like they have to move on from this. Like, I feel like we've had this enough with Neville and whatever they do. So whatever they do, this needs to be the end of it. I went then to the point of I don't know how long it can last, but I'll kind of be on the fence for that as seeing how it plays out after this pay-per-view and seeing what they do with it. I don't have high hopes for it. I have high hopes for Stardust. I just don't know if creative has anything that's going to be long-lasting. Mark, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Brian on this. I'm hoping that they have that Stardust and the Ascension go up against multi-3 teams. I think having 3 teams, if it is Eric Rowan, even the Shield would have a permanent 3 team if it wasn't The Rock or anyone special. So that's a whole bunch of interchangeable things, and next Dean and Roman and Rowan can go up against Stardust and the Ascension, and you just have so many possibilities. But I agree that Stardust is carrying the team if they actually do have a future.
And see, this goes back to the Divas Revolution, where I was telling y'all that 3 teams for the Divas is a good thing right now. Right now, we're talking about how well, it is for the guys to have these 3-team stables. So it serves to have the same functions for the women as well as the guys. I mean, it can only serve to help them.
All right, guys. Speaking of that now, with the Divas mentioned of Brian, we're at the title match. I do want to tell the Goons and everybody else out there due to time constraints that we're not going to be able to get into this topic as much as we had hoped. We're already at the hour mark of this show. Dan, Brian, y'all want to join me later in the week for a Divas episode so we can get more into this topic?
Sure.
Definitely.
We're going to touch on it briefly tonight just so we can get our brief thoughts in it because it's going to be a hot topic, I'm sure, but we can get into it fully. The match itself was great psychology, in my opinion. John Cena could watch Nikki work tonight. He would have saw psychology actually used in the match. Nikki worked Charlotte's arm early, her left arm. She kept working the arm the whole time. Charlotte eventually got her at a power bomb out of the arm bar, which was a nice little spot. Charlotte got her chops in, big boots. Good action back and forth. Charlotte goes for the Alabama slam, and Nikki escapes. Foxy gets up on the ring apron. Charlotte grabs her and tosses her over the rope. At that point, Nikki was able to roll out and Brie rolled in. Charlotte rolls Brie up for the 1, 2, 3. It appears we have a new Divas champion. Ric Flair comes out to celebrate along with the PCB members. And that is when Stephanie comes out to tell the bad news about the twin magic yet again. Charlotte is the winner, but Nikki Bella is still your champion and the longest reigning Divas champion in WWE history. They will have a rematch at Night of Champions on Sunday. Dan, I know you have strong opinions about this, so I'll ask you to keep it as brief as possible for now. Tell me why you hated this match and the finish and why you don't think it helps out for Night of Champions.
All right, I'm going to make this nice and sweet. So it doesn't help out because if you would have beat Nikki, then the Divas Revolution would have had some meaning to it. Now that she's past the mark, it has no meaning to it. Basically, this is the reason why the Divas Revolution is dead right now, I feel like, is because of Nikki Bella and whoever she's messing around with in John Cena. Charlotte, the whole Dusty finish was just garbage. I knew something was up. At first, I thought it was going to be a legitimate win for Charlotte, but then once the whole referee and the whole tissue came out, Stephanie came out, I knew something was going to be up. And shame on Stephanie for trying to put her name or her stamp onto this Divas Revolution and trying to encourage the women's and all that. You haven't done really nothing. All you have done is just piss people off with this Divas Revolution with your name attached to it.
That is strong feelings. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait for the sideshow to get into this. Mark, brief thoughts on this.
Okay, so yada yada yada. I already told you why the Divas Revolution's not dead, and it has nothing to do with the Divas title. But just strictly on this match itself, it was an amazing match that actually worked a body part, told a storyline of when the Divas Revolution started. AJ wasn't around, so to keep AJ's record as the starting point of the Divas Revolution was not a good opinion, i.e. probably Vince, you're right, Vince probably wanted something to do with erasing AJ, yada yada yada. It also tells a story, because she was the Divas landmark champion whenever these three women came up. So whenever someone actually beats her record, then that will mean even more. Charlotte will be fine, so will Sasha. Just get through with the story.
Brian, thoughts on this real quickly.
Real quick, I'm going to disagree with both of y'all. Disagree with Tanner that the revolution is not dead or dying. Disagree with Mark. In regards to Nikki being the longest reigning diva, I think it serves no purpose to elevate anybody or the story or the Divas division. I feel that the Divas division needs to be renamed to the Women's division, and that will bring some legitimacy back into the Women's division. And when Charlotte unfortunately wins, it should be Becky Lynch. But when Charlotte does win, the title needs to be renamed back to the women's division. And then it won't matter one way or the other who is the longest Divas champion, because they will be no longer there, and it won't be a Divas division. It will be a women's division.
I got a couple of reasons, like I've said before, why that's not possible. Number one, because divas is a term that WWE has copyrighted. They own the rights to it. No other company can use it. It allows them to stand out their women's division from other women's divisions. And they have the show Total Divas. That's one reason why they can't do it. The second reason is Vince still thinks that WWE women's title has a stain on it from Medusa dropping it in WCW Stress Shin. He went so far as to get rid of the women's division all the way until Trish and Lita were good enough to bring it back. He doesn't want the women's title to be the name of it. That's why we have Divas, so I don't think that's going to happen. As far as the Divas division being buried out of this, I don't think that's the case either. And as far as Nikki Bella hurting them as being the champion, I think that's been the best case scenario for this whole entire year, and I'll tell you why. You don't bring somebody up to the roster right away and put the belt on them. You want them to have to work hard and earn it and make the crowd want it more and want it more and want it more. You don't give it to them right away. That's just not what you do. Nikki Bella is the girl that people have hated for all this time, for whatever reason, whether she doesn't earn it, she's dating John Cena, she's the model who got it because Kevin Dunn and Vince love her, whatever it may be, it makes the universe not like her. So you're going to naturally like the person she goes against more. If Charlotte were to beat her the night before she gets that record, then she's just another person that Charlotte beat. But if Charlotte beat the longest reigning Divas champion, it means more for Charlotte's win. I can't see how you can't see that, Dan. I'll let you go ahead and add one more thought.
I'm kind of baffled by the fact that you said you just can't put the belt on someone who just came up from NXT. But I'm sure you wanted Kevin Owens to win that U.S. title, though.
But they made the right call by not doing it.
Yeah. But as far as your question, I can see where you're going with it, though. Storyline wise, I can be okay with that. But behind the scenes, where it just pisses me off, it's like saying that you're trying your AJ wasn't even the issue. If it would have been Lita or something, maybe. But the fact that you're really trying to bury the whole AJ name, it just pisses me off. And maybe
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm done with that. I'm getting pissed off
I
right now.
I just want to ask Anthony a question because it's making me think of something real quick. So curious, Anthony. Let's say John Cena ties your hero with 16 title reigns. If Vince McMahon decides to put it on him for 16 times and says, you know what, let me give him 17, just so he can say he beat Ric Flair, and then when someone else comes along and wants to beat Cena for the record, that guy has beaten the one person who's held the belt the longest. I mean, the most times. Would you be okay with putting Flair over to, or actually burying Flair, so to speak, to put someone else over?
If John Cena doesn't have a career-ending injury within the next 6 months, I've already accepted that he's going to be the 16-time world champion. I could actually see him wind up retiring as like the 21 or 22-time world champion. So I've already accepted that's definitely going to happen. I'm way past that. Am I going to like it? No. But at the same time, that's what WWE has done now. So, and it will matter more. Go back to Brock Lesnar when he ended that streak. With Brock Lesnar's run this last year, would it have been as dominant if he doesn't end Undertaker's streak? If Undertaker beats him, he's just another guy.
You make a good point there because before then, Brock Lesnar, when he first came back, it was like, well, whatever. When he beat the streak, everyone was like really pissed off, and he had some pretty good matches after that, and everyone was behind him.
Yep, it's all about character development. That's what I think with that. We got a lot more to get into that, and like I said, soon this week, maybe sooner rather than later, we're going to cover a whole show with this, so we're all split on it, and we're going to try to reach some solid ground and entertain you while we do it. We're going to move on now to Cesaro and Rusev, two other guys we feel like are floating, but they had a good entertaining match for what it was. Back and forth reversals earlier, lots of uppercuts and deadlifts. Ziggler makes his way down with what appears to be a gift for Summer Rae, which brings out my horrible finish in wrestling that I can't stand the most. Rusev gets distracted, and Cesaro rolls him up for the pin. Ziggler then hits the ring and hits a super kick for some unknown reason. Rusev goes outside the ring and Summer Rae leaves with the gift still in her hand. They go back to the back and Rusev is still yelling at Summer. He slams the door in her face while she's still holding the gift and tells her to come inside as he keeps yelling. Rusev loses again, Brian. Are you okay with this?
I'm not okay with Rusev losing again. I'm used to it, but I'm not okay with it. But this storyline is horrible anyway, so that's all I have to say.
Dan, did the match do anything for you? I'm pretty sure you're glad Cesaro got to win.
That finish at the end was awesome. I got to say that. The match itself was okay. Dolph Ziggler being a distraction and this whole storyline is just pathetic to me. What they're doing with Dolph Ziggler is pointless. I'm going to be the one to say that maybe it would have been better if he didn't resign back with WWE.
Dolph Ziggler?
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. Absolutely.
And then just because of the storyline not being good, or?
They haven't used him. It's like he was over, like super over when he was the lone survivor at Survivor Series. Going into even Royal Rumble, where we knew that he wasn't going to win, though, but he was still one of the fan favorite in a way to win it. And then a little bit after that, it was like he lost his momentum somehow. And now they don't know what to do with him.
Her name was Lana.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mark, your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I'm actually okay with the Dolph and Rusev storyline if it goes the way I think it's going to go. So Dolph's a womanizer, yada yada yada. We all know this, and gives Summer Rae a present. Rusev is baffled, and for the second time, because even though he does lose often, he's only been pinned now 3 times. Twice to Cesaro, by the way. The other one was John Cena. He gets distracted by a woman, so therefore Rusev is going to snap, I can just about guarantee you, and we'll see another long stretch of Rusev not losing like he did earlier in his career. It also gives a way for Cesaro to say that he's the only 2-time person to pin Rusev.
I feel like that Lana getting hurt made me a blessing in disguise to the storyline. Because like you guys, I felt like it had nowhere to go other than that intergender tag match. Now this actually creates the element of Dolph being a womanizer, like Mark had suggested. I feel like it opens up the avenue to actually make the story make a little more sense or just tell a better story. We're going to have to see how it plays out. I guess we'll find out more at Night of Champions. We'll find out that they are going to have Cosmic Wasteland and the Dragons and Devil at Night of Champions. Everybody's really excited for that. We get another authority segment where they put over Nikki quickly in her title reign. Once again, I want to remind everybody Nikki Bella is the longest reigning Divas champion of all time. Big Show enters. Stephanie assures him he can take everyone talking about Sting and make them talk about the Big Show instead. All he's got to do is take Sting out. Triple H says Big Show is the problem solver, and Sting is the problem. Alrighty then. Anything anybody want to add to this pointless crap? Like, do we really believe that the Big Show is going to do anything for Sting?
How many times have we seen the Big Show with the Authority?
Too many.
Okay, just curious.
He's their favorite stepchild or something.
Exactly, that's what they called him literally in a promo, the stepchild. And I guess the stepchild ain't gonna do the dirty work. I guess they didn't see episodes of Nitro from 97 and 98, but he couldn't beat Sting then, he can't do it now. Bart?
I don't want to see the big. I was actually enjoying the Authority at that moment in time, right before the Big Show wants to come back in. I think something was about that ironclad contract, where he had an ironclad contract, but he had to be the Authority's little stepchild / guard dog, like, at all times. I don't know. That's just awkward.
Maybe they really can't fire him. That might be really true. He's just stuck on TV forever. We then get the supposed main event. I say supposed because it's not. Big Show versus Sting. The Authority is ringside. Sting does a bunch of punches and kicks early. Go figure. Go watch a WCW match. That's all he knows how to do. He mounts Big Show for 10 punches. Big Show no-sells it. Tries to slam Sting. Sting reverses it into a DDT. Hits a Stinger splash. Seth Rollins comes out and attacks Sting quickly. Cena comes out, saves the day, clears the ring. Guess what we're going to have next, guys? That's right. Tag team match to end Monday Night Raw. The Big Show and Seth Rollins, they're going to face Sting and John Cena. Braun?
Okay, all I need is Teddy Long to come out.
Holla holla, player.
Holla holla. Hang on, player. Hang on.
That ain't how we do things on Monday Night Raw.
And next thing you know, the loser's gonna have to face the Undertaker.
Holla holla, player. The Undertaker. All right, anyway.
Yeah.
Tag team match. Show hits. Big Show hits Cena with a shoulder tackle that really weakened Cena early. Big Show works him over for a while with slams and punches. God, where have we seen that before? Cena getting beat down and selling early. Seth mocked Sting during the match while stomping at Cena. Seth was very heelish during the match, escaping and tagging Big Show in when it got tough, playing the little scary heel. Story of the match is Super Cena constantly fights back and almost dies before being cut back off each time before the double teams. Then Sting gets the hot tag. He hit 2 Stinger splashes and a running bulldog. Cena hits the AA on the Big Show. Very impressive. Rollins, he tried the pedigree on Cena. Sting is waiting behind him for the Scorpion Death Drop. He turns into the Scorpion Death Lock. And Sting taps out. The show ends with Sting and Cena celebrating and Rollins looking very, very weak. Dan, are you okay with the main event turning into a tag match? Did it do anything for getting you ready for Night of Champions?
Nope. But I did like the video package that they were doing of Sting during his career. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. They really did, except for they showed 1998. They showed like 90. I think the Hogan. They didn't even show the Hogan match for Starrcade. Everything they showed was his WWE career, Dan.
Did you really think they were going to show the Hogan one? Really? I mean, I know Cole said Hogan, supposedly, but come on. They're not going
That
to
ain't
show
my
it.
problem. My problem is, how are you going to do a memory of Sting when half of it, 3/4 of it says WWE crap? That's not a memory of Sting.
And here's a fact too. If correct me if I'm wrong, Hulk Hogan never beat Sting before in his career.
I'm going to have to go back and do research on that. I'm pretty sure he has.
I think I think they met each other like maybe 3 or 4 times, and Sting has won them all.
Wait, no. They beat him at NWO. Bash at the Beach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, NWO. The night the NWO formed, they beat Sting and Luger and Macho Man.
No. I'm talking about 1-on-1.
Maybe. I'll have to go back and double check. But I think you might be right. Maybe we'll have to double check.
But as far as the tag team, I didn't care for it because John Cena, there he goes, meddling in someone's business, gotta be in the spotlight. I probably would have cared more if it was like Lex Luger being his tag team partner or something, but You guys keep telling me Lex Luger can't wrestle.
Lex Luger's in a wheelchair like me. He's not coming out there.
But he'd still be able to wrestle better than John Cena.
I'll wrestle Lex Luger in a handicap match right now.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we can do that for charity.
Yeah, why not? Let's line that up.
Yeah, we got to make that happen.
Okay, so to add this real quick, just to throw this out there, since we're talking about Cena meddling in other people's business, I see John Cena actually causing Sting to lose at Night of Champions. So that once we do our recap and we start doing our predictions, definitely be something I want to touch more on, but just wanted to throw that out there.
Wow, what a show. Martin, you got any final thoughts?
No, I say besides the ending was pretty like we were going to think a go home show ending would be, but it was really pointless to be honest.
Okay, I would grade the show, say B minus. The only aspect of the show that I enjoyed was the New Day and the trombone. That was about it. I did enjoy seeing Sting, although I feel like we didn't get this historical event that we felt like we were promised because of Cena. So yeah, I would say B minus. Best match would be the New Day. Worst match will be the Rusev match, just because right now his role is pointless.
I will go ahead and give my grade. I'm going to give it a B+. I thought it was actually a pretty good go-home show. I didn't like the tag team main events for what it was. It did serve its purpose. They got the double champion in the double match with both guys. So I get it. Big Show just served his point for being there. My worst segment of the night is going to probably be that Wyatt thing, because I just didn't see what The Miz had any point of being there. I don't know why Braun Strowman didn't talk. It was just very awkward, and they didn't give us who the third guy was. It was just pointless. Best match of the night. I know this is going to be unpopular for a lot of people. That Divas match. Nikki Bella worked her butt off. She did. And I know a lot of people don't like the finish, but it was good. It was a good match for me.
That was just horrible.
Dan, go ahead with your thoughts.
I'm gonna grade Monday Night Raw C+. Wasn't really too invested in it. Didn't really sell me on Night of Champions. The worst match was the Nikki Bella and Charlie because of the finish. Best match of the night was Sasha and Paige. And I might be behind Sting winning the championship this upcoming Sunday if they do something with it. I hope. Now I'm kind of to the point where I hope Sheamus doesn't cash in, but if he does, whatever. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's actually a thing we didn't get into either about Sheamus being in there. We'll talk about that on the pre-show for Night of Champions for sure. Mark, we're going to go with you before we wrap this show up. Final thoughts? Grade it? Best or worst?
Nikki Bella is the longest reigning Divas champion of all time, and she deserves it. But moving on from there, the best match of the night is going to Nikki and Charlotte, just because they told an epic story in the ring. And the worst match of the night is actually going to go to Sheamus and John Cena, simply because I do not like Spotfest. But the overall grade, I'll give it a B+. I'm actually looking forward to Night of Champions.
All in all, can't argue with that. What a show we had tonight, guys. I hope you were entertained. Want to thank everybody for listening to this week's episode. As always, you can hear us on Max Sports Channels and Power Station FM. You can get our show on WrestlingGoonsRadio.blogspot.com. There you'll be able to pick up all of our other social media links, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the others. Just hit subscribe to Wrestling Goons Radio. We'll be with you for the pre-show coming up for Night of Champions and the Diva special, along with the post-show. Lots of content coming from Wrestling Goons Radio this week. Stay tuned. For Dan, for Mark, and for Brian, and for Anthony, this is the Wrestling Goons Radio, the podcast from the IWC. For the IWC, and we'll see you.